Hi dear friends, I'm Nargis. I'm a certified IELTS instructor, and today I'm going to share with you 20 words that you should actually avoid in your IELTS writing. But before you start watching, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get more information about IELTS and general English. Well, you may ask, why should we avoid some words in IELTS, especially in IELTS writing? It's because the requirement of IELTS is to write an essay in a more academic way. Actually, it's not academic, it's a neutral way of writing, but it's closer to academic style. And that's why we should meet these requirements and write more academic essay rather than using some informal words or the words that are actually used in spoken English. Okay, let's start from the list. Today I will present you 20 words that you should actually avoid. The first word is good. Good is a good word, but we should avoid this because it's a little bit more common in our spoken English, and instead of writing good, we should write like beneficial, positive, welcome, favorable, and according to your context, you should change those synonyms. You should use the synonyms of good, which are actually relevant to your writing style. The next word is bad. It's the antonym of good, and it's also very common in spoken English. And instead of writing like bad situation, bad things, bad people, and so on, you can write negative. It sounds more academic. You can write challenging. You can write problematic. You can write detrimental. You can write devastating. Devastating you can use for more awful things. So some words like this that are actually academic, and you can use them in your essay. The next word, actually it's not just one word, it's a group of words. Idioms. Why should we avoid idioms? Because idioms are mostly informal. They are used in informal English. They differentiate from region to region in the US, in Britain. That's why there are lots of them, and you can't use them in your writing. You will not sound academic. I'm sure that you know a lot of idioms because many IELTS instructors say that we should use idioms in speaking. It's like this, but we should not overuse them at the same time. And many students, they learn many idioms, like to be over the moon, to kill two birds with one stone, and so on. They should be natural. They should be used in a natural way. You shouldn't sound like with the examiner, like, oh, let me remember, I know one idiom, I will say it and you will give me a high mark. The next word that we should avoid is kids. I know that the word children is a little bit difficult to paraphrase. We start to look for some synonyms of children, and there are few. But kid is not good because it's used mostly in informal speech, in informal English. Instead of kid, you can use a child. And according to your essay, you can change the words. Instead of a child, you can use schoolboys, schoolgirls, schoolchildren. So if you are talking about those who study at school, you can talk about teenagers. If you talk about those who are over 13, you can call them juveniles, you can call them adolescents, you can call them preschoolers if you talk about those children who are not going to school, babies, toddlers. There are lots of synonyms, but the synonym of a child is a kid, but don't use it because it's informal. The next word is big. Big is a little bit more common for spoken English. That's why you should change this word. You can use large, essential, huge, significant, and of course it's up to your context. You can choose the words, those synonyms, up to your context. The next word is, again, the antonym of big. It's small. Instead of small, you can say minor, you can say insignificant, it's not significant, and so on. The next word is a lot of. We were taught at school many and much. Many we use for countables, much we use for uncountables, and when we are not sure whether this noun countable or uncountable, we can say a lot of. We can use a lot of or lots of. but it's not good for academic way of writing, and that's why I try to avoid it. I know it's easy to write a lot of, and many people count a lot of. It's 3 words instead of many or much, and in this case I shouldn't think that whether it's countable or uncountable, but it's like this: many and much are more formal than a lot of or lots of. The next word that you should avoid is you. You shouldn't write in your essay as if you're writing a letter to the examiner. You should do this, you should go there, you should study hard, you should earn money. You. No, you should write your essay in a third person as if you're talking about all people in the world in general. People should do this, they should go there. You can write with singular nouns and pronouns like he, she, or you can write it with plural as well. The next thing that we should avoid is abbreviation. Why? Because abbreviations are mostly used in informal language. It's mostly used in messages, letters, emails. So we write ASAP, like as soon as possible. We shouldn't write it in our essay. Firstly, because it's informal. Secondly, because you will lose 4 words. And you should meet the requirement of 250 words, and instead of writing as soon as possible, like 4 words, you shorten this. That's not good. Next, we should avoid shortening some words. For example, instead of saying information, people write info. It's like, it sounds cool and we follow modern trends. We don't say information, we say info. Yeah, it's good, but it's good for message. You like earn extra space for your message, but when you write it in your writing, it's not good because it's not formal style. So you should write full form of university, information, and so on.
Cool info.
The next word that you shouldn't actually avoid, but you should be very careful with this word, it's to. There are 2 cases when we use to. Firstly, to show some similarity, like I love you too. So instead of using it in this way, it's better to use its synonym as well. Or you can use some transition signals that show some similarity. For example, likewise, similarly, you can use them at the beginning of the sentence to show that this information is similar to the previous one. But you should be very careful with the word to when you use it with adjectives like too difficult, too easy, and so on. Why? Because actually this word shows some negativity.
It's too much.
So when we say it's too difficult, it means that it's abnormally difficult. I can't do this. And instead of using to, you can use it's difficult enough. By the way, we use enough after the adjective, to before the adjective. And instead of to, you can also use quite difficult. The next words that you should avoid, again, it's not just one word, it's like a group of words. You should avoid phrasal verbs. A phrasal verb is like a verb with a preposition, and it's mostly used in spoken English. So we say put on in spoken English, like put on a dress, but instead of this, in formal English, it's better to say to dress yourself. Instead of saying put off, it's better to say to postpone. It sounds a little bit more formal and academic. But there are some words that are difficult to change. For example, a good word to get rid of. Yeah, we can use eliminate, escape, remove, according to the context, but to get rid of, it's very universal.
Of Gary, get rid of SpongeBob.
But we can find something that is similar to this word. The next words that you should avoid, you shouldn't avoid them in general, but you should avoid them at the beginning of the sentence because it's considered informal to write and, but also at the beginning of the sentence. It's a simple way of writing. So don't use them at the beginning of the sentence, but you can use them somewhere in the middle of the sentence or at the end. But actually it's used in the middle of the sentence. The next word, it's one of the most common mistakes. You know, many students, I don't know why, but they write I am agree, I am disagree. I don't know why some students don't want to accept agree as a normal verb, which is not used with am, is, or. I agree, I disagree. That's all. Actually, it's a common mistake. It's not a common word that you should avoid, but you should avoid writing this word in this way. I am agree. The next words that you should avoid: must and have to. They are modal verbs, they are good, but why are they bad in written English, like in formal English? Because they are considered like a little bit overgeneralized. If you look at task response criteria in 7th band, you can see there is a word like, there is an expression like a slight tendency to overgeneralize. So what is this, to overgeneralize? It's when you write something about all people. Any person must get a higher education. Any person must get married. Any person must do this. Maybe there is a person who doesn't want to get a higher education. The next words, these words also have this tendency to overgeneralize. It's everyone, all, and other words similar to them, like all people must get a higher education. It's very overgeneralized. You like talk about all people in one sentence. So don't use these words and don't overgeneralize in your essay in general. Oh, the next word is is a favorite word of many students. They say to cut it in a nutshell, and they count to cut it in a nutshell. 6 words. Wow, I write 6 words, I can easily meet the requirement of 250. But it's not like this. IELTS examiners, they don't like this word because they know when you write it, you want just to meet the requirement of 250 words. It's not good. It doesn't give you extra point. You lose your time while writing 6 words. You can briefly write in conclusion or to conclude to show the examiner that you have come to your conclusion. And that's all. And the last one, though. We don't use though when we want to use that in the meaning of although, even though, and so on, because although, even though, despite, they are more academic than though. Though we can use mostly in spoken English. It can be easily used almost in every part of the sentence. That's why don't use though. Instead of this, use even though or although. And the last one is bonus. Don't use quotation mark. Don't say like Bernard Shaw said, the true love is the love to food. It's okay, it's good, it's like this. I agree with this statement.
I love the food. Wait till
But it's not your opinion, it's not your words, it's not what you really think. It's just his opinion, and the examiner will consider that you just steal someone's opinion and share it with him. So don't write quotation marks, try to avoid them. Write only your opinion and your position. Well, dear friends, these were 20 words that you should actually avoid in your writing. If you have any questions, you can write them down in the comment section. I will try to answer. If you have any other questions about some words, that whether you should avoid them or not, I will also try to answer. If you have come to this point, I'm very happy. Thank you. See you soon in the next video.